ICW, ICW, ICW. ICW fans, I am longtime independent wrestling fan and administrator of the ICW Message Board, Robert. Kick in the Door was a great night of wrestling action as ICW delivered once again. The night began with singles competition as the Grim Reaper took the seasoned veteran, went one-on-one with, making his ICW debut, Marco Stunt. Marco hit the ring to Pat Benatar's We Belong. Match was pretty good. They eventually went into the crowd, and Stunt actually went up to the balcony, and he did a balcony dive, landing on Reefer and I believe a few members of security. Later on, Reefer set up a guardrail, a bed of chairs set up on a guardrail where the guardrail bridged the ring apron to the guardrail surrounding the ring. And Reefer did seemingly like a burning hammer while sitting on the top rope, Stunt off onto those. Basically took a really sick bump with those chairs on the guardrail. Stunt eventually recovered from that, hit a 450 splash, pinning the Grim Reaper. After the match, Reefer, I don't know, I couldn't remember if he and Stunt shook hands, but Reefer ended up clotheslining Stunt and leaving the ring. Great way to start off the show. Next up was six-man tag team action as the trio of Kono, or is it Kano, Tristan Ty, and Gabriel Sky. Look at that, Ty and Sky, it rhymes. As they took on Dorian Graves, VSK, and EJ Risk, collectively known as Massage Force. I know VSK and Graves were previously known as Massage Envy. A lot of massage moments in this match, and eventually Massage Force picked up the win over Kono, Ty, and Sky. Next up, Sanchez hits the ring, and he basically takes the microphone and runs down the crowd, but then out comes the notorious 187 Homicide, and the match was on. And Homicide eventually, he hits Sanchez with an ace crusher. Sanchez kicks out of that. Homicide hit a ace crusher off Sanchez was issued on the second rope. But then Homicide eventually puts Sanchez down after nailing the Cop Killer, which is an awesome move. And Homicide, Mr. Indie Wrestling himself, gets the win. Next up, we see Danny DeMonto comes out for his match with the franchise, Shane Douglas. DeMonto took the microphone and talked about back in 1997, he was flipping channels at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he found ECW, and he saw Douglas, and decided he's the one that Danny said Douglas was the guy he wanted to be, and Douglas challenged Danny to a street fight right then and there, and the match was on. DeMonto set up, actually it was a wooden board placed on a guardrail, bridging the ring apron to the guardrail surrounding the ring, and DeMonto eventually jumped off the top rope, elbow drop Douglas, who was laying on the board and guardrail, and the board broke and the guardrail was bent. Douglas eventually pulled out a chain, which he was known for in ECW. The referee tries to stop him, and then DeMonto rolls up Douglas for the 3 count. Forgot what they said to Douglas, and DeMonto said on the microphone after it was over. They did go to intermission at that point. The action resumed with women's action as we saw Maria Manic, it was the monstrosity Maria Manic, as she defeated Katrid, the Clockwork Angel, in a fun matchup. Next up was a 3-way match as we saw Orange Cassidy defeat Jimmy Lloyd and Kyle the Beast. I forgot how that one ended. Next up, we see Teddy Hart defeat the suicidal, homicidal, genocidal Sabu. Sabu had put Teddy through 2 wooden boards, and Teddy eventually recovered from that and hit a powerbomb, longblower combination. And Teddy took the microphone. He said that promoters like Jack Sabbath risk their financial security to put on these shows, and the wrestlers risk their lives for putting smiles on the faces of fans, and I forgot what else he went on to say. But then it was main event time as we see Schlack versus He's Not Human PCO versus Bulldozer Matt Tremont versus Nick Gage. Crazy four-way brawl, which actually I remember Tremont and Gage were like face-to-face outside on the floor. PCO and Schlack both hit suicide dives, and then with all four men outside on the floor, the referee called for the bell to ring to start the match. The four of them ended up going into the crowd, and they were like throwing chairs at each other. Kudos to Jack Sabbath himself, and I know it's Danny DeMonto. They went over there to just keep the crowd safe from the action, even though there was security on hand for the show, for the second ICW event in a row. Then they eventually went back to the ring. PCO, he actually, from his Jean-Pierre Lafitte days, he hit Le Cannonball. No, I'm horrible at putting on a French accent, folks. I forgot who he hit that move on. He also tried a moonsault, but he missed that. I forgot exactly what happened, but PCO won the match. He pinned either Schlack or Tremont, and, I gotta say, for a man in his early 50s, bless his heart. I mean, he had this year he had a career resurgence, referring to PCO, who was victorious. And, hopefully he'll come back to ICW in the future and, maybe have a singles match with somebody. And hopefully things will keep going well for him. Oh. Okay, personal notes time. Well, it was great seeing Mike McNicholas, Michael Licata, Stella, Jack Peterson, Phillip, Justin Finn, Bill Parham, Jason Bob 87, Elliot. Who else I remember seeing? Jack Sabbath, of course. Irving Diaz. Dang it, who else I remember seeing at this event? I know there were others. I do have to say, Scotty Cerriti, you did great ring announcing for ICW, and hopefully they'll let you ring announce for them again in the future. Now, while I'm on the subject, ICW returns with their last blast of 2018 as they return on Friday night, December 28th. There's no show title yet, and no matches have yet to be announced, but I'd like to say, can we finally have Schlack one-on-one with the notorious 187 Homicide? This match was supposed to happen at Night of Main Events back on June 1st, but the show was canceled. It was going to happen again at Sky's the Limit back in September, but Schlack was unable to appear. Can we please finally have that match? I also have to say, definitely bring back Marco Stunt. Bring back PCO. I will say, here's another thing. ICW, I'd like to see the following people brought into the company who've never worked for you before. The Deathmatchers Guardian Stockade and the tag team of the East Coast Syndicate. I don't know if they still are FTW Tag Team Champions. That's the Bushwick Beast, Chris Barton, and Dominic, is it De Niro? I do apologize if I got his last name wrong. Because I actually met Chris Barton way before he got into wrestling. All right, well, here's some memorable quotes. Marco Stunt. The crowd singing to Marco Stunt to the tune of the Village People's Macho Man. And also when the Maria Manic Hatred match got underway due to the fact that Manic has man-eater tattooed on her stomach. Some of the fans in the crowd were singing the chorus of Hall & Oates' tune Man-Eater. For those wondering, that's not how the song starts. I've done that song karaoke numerous times. Definitely not, that's not how the song starts, folks. Oh, here's the funny thing. After the show had ended, I've got to say, great seeing and talking with Matt Wolf before the show started. After the show ended, I had gone to eat at Taco Bell on Northern Boulevard. And just as I was about to enter the train station, a guy riding a bicycle, he said, "Hey, I recognize you from the wrestling shows," and said he also knows Mike McNicholas. And we talked a bit, and he said that WWE Crown Jewel wasn't that great. Well, just about everybody criticized it, but I'm glad I didn't even bother to watch the show anyway. It didn't look that great on paper. And I know I'm going off topic here in this video, but I gotta say, many people say, "Oh, they're done with WWE." They'll prove to be fucking hypocrites when they tune into Raw Monday night. I mean, that's what I don't enjoy about some wrestling fans. They're such hypocrites. Complain about WWE, but they keep watching. I personally don't watch Raw Monday nights. I don't watch SmackDown Live on Tuesday nights. I don't watch NXT, which is Wednesday nights. And even though NXT has a great product, I haven't watched TNA, Impact Wrestling, whatever the hell you're going to call it, for a decade now. Shows you how much mainstream wrestling has changed over the years. But glad to see ICW is now officially 3 for 4 this year with shows, meaning 3 shows took place and only one was canceled. I just mentioned a match I'd like to see for December 28th, which is the last show of the year. I hope, like I said, if Homicide versus Schlack finally happens. Well, what else can I think of that regarding this very show? Dang it. Let me see. Well, say anything comes back. I mean, do apologize, folks, because usually after when the shows end, go into the books, and between the long trip home and sleep, everything's a blur for me. And I'm not like Johnson either, so I'm not going to write down every bit and piece of matches and what goes on at the shows. But yeah, well, I'll say it. Kick in the Door, again, was a great show. Can't wait for December 28th to come back. And hopefully a lot of things will be happening. Hopefully ICW will run monthly in the year 2019. That's one thing I'd like to see happen. Hopefully Jack Sabbath, you'll make that happen. If not, it's understandable. Depends on who's available and who's not in terms of talent. But definitely great show. And ICW, 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 ICW. And coming soon, more VHS reviews of ICW shows from the past.